I saw it. I saw the signs. There were
I saw
signs
the signs. We're gonna get canceled.
because we like Ace of Base.
Yes.
Well,
All right.
If we're canceled because of Ace of Base, then I just don't want to be on
I don't.
YouTube anymore.
I don't want to live in this world.
Yeah.
All that
Okay.
she wants
Okay, Professor
is
Farnsworth.
another YouTube.
I see
Good
us.
news, everyone.
I see us in the talk studio, or sorry, the YouTube studio thing. Let's make sure it shows up for others.
The Yabs tabs.
I think so. Yeah, we're there. Oh wait, that's I'm
Tabs.
logged in as us though.
What a nerd.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there chat?
I see us. I see us chilling.
Okay.
Oh, there's chat.
Hi, chat.
Hi, chat.
My phone just vibes, so yep, we're live.
Okay. Anytime you want to kick this off.
Let's kick it in the tubes.
Show Dan me the money. System Shock 2 today on.
Show Dan over the intro.
Don't Xerxes showdown over the intro.
Wow.
You're Ken leaving me dry. Is that a thing?
Wow.
Is that a good one?
Sure.
Great. When
And
I'm not
I'm
doing the
done,
technical hosting, I have
gentlemen.
all this free time to think up one-liners that are kind of witty once in a while. It's
I'm Warren Spectator here.
Oh, that's a good one too. The video over?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome everybody to another episode of Press Me to Cancel, your favorite, sometimes retro, sometimes not podcast. This week, you guys know how on YouTube or on TikTok, occasionally you're flipping through the videos as the kids do, and you come across the one where somebody's reacting to a song. They're like, I've never heard of the Beastie Boys. Let's react to their songs. And you're thinking, there's no way in hell they don't know this song from the Beastie Boys, or they don't know Hurt from Nine Inch Nails, or, et cetera, et cetera. Well, this week we're talking about System Shock 2.
The first time we've got that right. Hold on. I want to take a moment and absorb that.
Clip it, and we'll put up on the
Clip it.
Discord.
Please.
This week we're talking about System Shock 2, which is a game that I know, and I mean it, I literally know nothing about this game except for the title and who made it. That's it. All I know is that it's a game that I'm supposed to play at some point, along with Half-Life 2. But I do have two experts this week to kind of run down this game that recently got a remaster, and that's Sinistar. How you doing this week?
I'm doing well. Today I've got my spine. I've got my orange Fanta.
Okay.
Well, thank God it's not Dr. Pepper. A notable Dr. Pepper apologist, Chardmonk, is with us as well. How you doing this week? Oh, God damn it.
I'm keeping the streak alive. This is episode 150 of me drinking this shit. So let's go. I'm ready.
Well, we're not going to get Dr. P sponsorship anytime soon. Okay, so this week we are talking about System Shock 2, which is a game that originally came out in 1999. If I recall, it was made by Irrational Games and Looking Glass Studios. It's probably most notable as one of Ken Levine's games. And I know him from the BioShock franchise, specifically BioShock Infinite. But of course, this is one of the games he did early on. It did get a recent remaster. Actually, I think it came out just last week, if I'm not wrong.
I think so. On PC, I think it's mid to late July for consoles. They had to delay the consoles.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, and it was done by Night Dive Studios. Night Dive Studios lately has kind of made it their thing to go back to these boomer shooter eras and grabbing these games and doing pretty solid remasters. I think we talked a little bit about the original System Shock that they did. I believe it was through a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But now the second one is out now. So, Sinister, I know you backed the Kickstarter, right?
Yes. Yeah. And really quick, while I was doing some of my research on this, I think Night Dive actually officially owns the System Shock franchise now. Like they own the IP.
Well, they bought the IP.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the one that they did, System Shock 1, they did do a remaster, but then they did a complete remake.
Yeah, that was a ground ups, right? That wasn't just like a fresh coat of paint. That was a whole thing.
And they did a remaster. They called it the Enhanced Edition. They did do a remaster of the first one. And then they did that whole remake, which is the one that I backed. And then this is a remaster. They didn't call this one Enhanced Edition, which is interesting, but they did do the remaster. Real quick, there is supposedly talk of doing a remake of number 2.
Which would be spectacular.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing, too, is the difference between remake and remaster. Some studios, it's kind of dicey, but I think with Night Dive, they are pretty clear. When they do a remaster, we're talking about what? It's increasing textures or redoing of textures, higher polygons on the models, I'm assuming?
Yeah, essentially a reskin. It's not a rebone. It's just a reskin, making it run on modern hardware, that sort of thing. But they basically still leave in all the jank. The functionality runs the same, you know. Yeah. But yeah, it's basically a reskin, and then just making sure it runs on modern hardware.
Right. And you know, honestly, for a game like this, I know for similar games from that era, the jank is part of why I like it. Maybe when I was a kid playing these games, I didn't appreciate the jank at the time, or I didn't feel like it was a great thing. But nowadays, if I were to play Morrowind or Oblivion, right? The Oblivion remaster, for example, and there's a suitable amount of jank in that remaster. Even as pretty as that game looks, they kept some of the jank, and I think I would like it. I wouldn't like it as much if they got rid of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Suitable
amount of jank.
I mean,
just a touch of jank.
One man's jank is another man's treasure.
Sure.
So
I think I may have gotten a letter wrong in there. Jank, junk, treasure. Anyway, sorry.
Just call me Sick Jake.
Done.
So, again, like, I know the name of this franchise. I know you guys talked about it pretty highly. Yeah, hold it in pretty high regard. But I don't even know what the genre is, and I'll tell you why I get confused. What I thought this game was turned out to be Descent. So I thought you were like a floating thing going through mazes and
another
4D dimensions and all kinds of stuff. And that's not what this game is. This is a first-person shooter, I'm assuming?
Yes. So if we're going to talk about that really quick, this, in my research and as far as my recollection goes, this is the first-person shooter that brings in that true RPG element.
Okay.
So it's not just a first-person shooter. There is you earn the ability to increase your stats, increase your abilities, etc., like that. Instead of just picking up weapons, picking up armor, shooting things. No,
this it's not like Doom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's much more to it than that. This is actually like an early on survivor horror game almost.
It is
in it too. But System Shock 1 was very much, I mean, the same kind of thing. But this one was my first like real survivor horror type game.
Yeah.
Okay, so you say RPG elements. Is that so? There is an inventory. Is there stats? Is there
dialogue,
stats? Conversations?
There are stats. There are skills. There's inventory. All of those things. I mean, this as we keep talking about this really started an entire genre or a subgenre of the FPS world, which a lot of games have pulled in, including even modern things like Borderlands uses a lot of this.
Dead Space,
absolutely.
As well.
Yeah, so
a ton of stuff.
Okay, so Dead Space, I can kind of see the similarities because survival horror type genres, atmosphere. But Borderlands, how does this Borderlands, do you think, pulls from System Shock?
You increase your you do have upgrades in Borderlands to some skills and stuff like that, which will enhance certain weapon usage, certain, other things that go along with it. Borderlands is a little bit kind of closer to, as you said, that boomer shooter. This is an RPG, FPS, survivor horror kind of thing. Which we could talk the story as well, which we'll go into for that survivor.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk the story because I need you guys to explain what even Showdown is, but we'll get there. I just kind of want to understand more of the gameplay.
Wow.
I'm literally going to title this episode "Showdown Me the Money," just so. But yeah, spoilers on a 99. Spoilers on a 26-year-old game.
Yeah.
So so it's a shooter, but is it? You're saying survival horror, so it's not a running gun per se.
Oh no!
How combat focused is it then?
It's
40%.
yeah,
40%.
it's a
Really?
pretty decent split between the 2, but it's a lot like in the terms of, well, I'll say Half-Life, for
Mhm.
instance. There is with less like, "Yo, I got a new gun, I'm gonna blow everything up." This one is very much like, "Yo, I got a gun, but I have, like, 2 bullets in it for a while.
Yeah.
So I better hold on to this thing and wait." And the weapons do require some repairing after some use. So you get a wrench.
Okay.
Like, the wrench is your crowbar to Half-Life, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. That actually does sound a lot more like an RPG than a classic shooter. It
Well, and a
almost
lot
reminds me of Deus Ex in a way. I
Deus
mean,
Ex is actually on the list of what is considered, either I think they came out around the same time, so I don't know if
I feel
one
like
is
they're
the
like
s
sister
within
games
a
in a
they're
year.
sense.
yeah,
Yeah, because
and,
they're really close to one another.
yeah, a lot of those elements, I think this did come out first, and a lot of the guides or, reviews or whatever basically are like, Deus Ex is a spiritual successor. Like,
Yeah.
which we've talked about it today when we were talking pre this episode. I do want to play through the Deus Ex games. I did play Mankind Divided. I know that's not the same as the first one, but yeah,
Yeah.
it feels very similar.
Mhm.
Yeah, because Deus Ex has that near future cyberpunky type of atmosphere. Although Deus Ex is definitely, I wouldn't say it's not a survival horror. I think but it's
No.
definitely got first person shooter
It
and RPG elements to it. But it sounds like System Shock might be more leaning toward the RPG from the way you're
Yes.
describing it.
Deus
Um,
Ex is a lot more RPG than this one is because, like you said,
Oh,
there's
okay.
the conversations that you're having with
yeah.
characters. There's not a
Right.
lot of conversations with the characters. It's story-driven conversation that's being told to you as you're playing the game. Or you
That
find
Got it.
recordings and that gives you, like, passcodes to open up doors and things like that, and also tells you what's going on. That's where, like, kind of Dead Space gets its stuff, because you get information through recordings that you find littered throughout the ship as you're running through it.
well, and that's
Right.
that's an important piece when we're talking spiritual successors, or really kind of a direct successor with another name because it's a Ken Levine franchise. BioShock, I mean, it has so many similarities to BioShock. It's almost like they are the same game, but they've put in different characters. Like,
Pretty much.
Okay,
so
because Bioshock Infinite is the one I've played. I did not play Bioshock
I'm
1,
talking
which
straight
Yeah.
BioShock. I'm talking straight
really
BioShock
BioShock.
1
not
and
even
2,
Infinite.
more
Okay,
BioShock 1, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
got it. Okay.
So really quick, I mean, we're talking, we're gonna give spoilers away here, folks. I'm sorry, but in
It's a
BioShock,
25-year-old game.
yeah,
Like,
in
honestly.
BioShock, there's a person that you think is helping you, and they're asking you to do all these tasks, et cetera, et cetera. And then at some point in the game, toward the end, you find out, oh, that's actually the baddie. The
Yeah, this is the
baddie,
Right.
person
and the baddie
I'm
had
trying to
used
stop.
this programming of "Would you kindly." I
Right.
ever like if you play BioShock 1, that phrase "Would you kindly" is burned into your soul, right?
Yep.
Well, System Shock
Right.
has a very similar aspect where there is a character that's talking to you, an NPC that's talking to you, but the majority of the story is told through either the emails you get, these audio emails you get, or these recordings that you find, which BioShock does the same thing. So I mean, these
I
are
love that
yeah.
kind of stuff, though,
Mhm.
actually. Like, my favorite parts of Deus Ex and similar games to this was reading the notepads, the digital notes, the
Yeah.
emails, just for,
Uh-huh.
like, the background lore to the world. It kind of sets the atmosphere of the world you're exploring. I love it when games do that. It sounds like this has a good atmosphere.
This is
So I
no
guess what
stranger to that technique. Yeah, this is
I
yeah.
definitely
While we're talking about it, I wanted to remember this because this is funny. There is an Easter egg I never experienced, but I finally saw this in because I was looking up the trivia. There is a basketball court in the game where if you take a basketball and if even if it just touches the rim, it unlocks an Easter egg. You get an email from the primates that were on the ship, and they're saying, "We've collected all the nuts, bananas, and coconuts. You've been taking on these bad guys. Hey, if you come join us, you'll have a furry companion and all the food you want." And it's
Interesting.
the most
Okay.
random. And the whole time the email is in text form, but as you play it, all you hear is
Okay, so I need to know, I guess, the story then, because
Okay.
we're getting into it now. What actually is like in a nutshell the sales pitch for this game? What
Okay.
is the story? Like, is it futuristic, far future?
Oh
Is it
yeah.
near future,
Oh
like
yeah.
Deus
It's
Ex?
I
Like,
Very
think
what's
the
much
the
year is
deal?
like 1170 something. So okay, so the story is basically System Shock 1, and this is really all you need to know about System Shock 1. You basically, so you are a character named Hacker in System Shock 1. You were hired to basically remove these human protection controls from this AI. You do it, they then basically like uh put you in and wipe your memories. Put you in this thing and wipe your memories, and then you wake up and this and everybody's dead on the space station. And this AI Shodan has basically, which is the one that you unlocked, is basically taken over and trying to make, well, this comes out in System Shock 2, but it's trying to take over. And so you basically have to defeat Shodan in System Shock 1.
Yeah.
Well, at the end, you
The
blow up the. Yeah,
Shodan believes that she has basically become a god
yeah,
and is trying to take over everything and is controlling everything.
yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
So that's
Okay.
System Shock 1, and you basically play. The System Shock 1 has some really cool elements where you play in meat space, and then you also have these cyberspace events that are really cool. Um, but it's really just a shooter. Like you basically collect weapons, health, ammo or armor, etc., and you go from point A to point Z, blow up the station, end of game, you've defeated Shodan. Cool, we're done.
Okay, so no cliffhanger, no RPG elements really. It's more of a
Uh
classic shooter.
I don't remember enough of the ending to remember if this is actually portrayed at the end of System Shock 1 or if this is basically a MacGuffin that was created for System Shock 2, but
I
there was
want
a
to say it's a MacGuffin, but I don't
yeah,
know.
there was a
I don't know for sure
portion
either.
of the
Okay.
space station that gets ejected before it blows up. And it had this control unit that was doing these kind of menial, stupid tasks, but it had Shodan's, you know,
Consciousness.
they keep
Yeah.
talking. She basically kind of talks about this as loops because they kind of have this concept of like, it's, every process is a loop, right? Which kinda, I mean, as a programmer, kinda, eh.
Right.
We'll
Right.
we'll give it a
Okay.
pass for a video game. Anyway, so in System Shock 2, there's a ship. I can't remember the name of the ship. Hold on, really quick. It is the UNN Rickenbacker.
The Rickenbacker. That's right.
Which well, you're on the Rickenbacker. The Rickenbacker is a military vessel, and then there's the Von Braun, and the Von Braun, they have figured out how to do faster than light travel. But basically, with the whole Shodan thing, this corporation that created Shodan was all but disassembled and is now under basically military control. And so they basically have nerfed all AI. They have a very limited AI called Xerxes. Anyway, so the Rickenbacker basically gets strapped onto the Von Braun, and they go. They get an emergency request from Tau Ceti 5. Right? Tau Ceti 5? Anyway, whatever.
A planet or a star system?
A planet.
Yep.
Okay.
And so they basically strap the Rickenbacker on and they do this faster than light travel. Well, kind of like the beginning of the first one, you wake up, you have no idea what's going on, everybody's dead, and your memories are wiped because they've been putting in these implants that are supposed to enhance your abilities, but through that process, the system that was supposed to bring your memories back messes up.
It failed.
Yeah.
Okay, so they kind of put you in a similar situation where you're powerless, you have no memories, and you're trying to piece together what happened to the ship you're on. So very similar to the first game. Is it far in the future then? I'm trying to understand that you're
It's
basically
42
you're on the
years.
ship and the distress call was the chunk of the station from the first game that floated away.
Well, we haven't gotten there.
We're getting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
This
this
is the
is
ship you're on.
yeah, this
Just
is
the ship,
40
and the
this
ship
is 42 years in the
okay.
future. This is 42
Yeah,
years.
I want to point out, just so there's some clarification, that during the beginning of System Shock 2 and you're doing your your military training. You get to select which,
Yeah,
you know,
that's a
branch
cool
you're going to
thing.
do, and you get like your different perks through that, and that's how the RPG element comes through. When you
Got
get
it.
to the Rickenbacker and
Von
the other
Braun.
ship, the Von Braun, thank you. You are being talked to by an AI called Xerxes that is going crazy. You don't know Shodan has anything to do with this. This is
Yeah,
completely just a different thing. You're just like, shit's going down, and Xerxes is like, yeah, I'm blowing shit up. Deal with it. So that's,
yeah.
and you're like, oh, I gotta fix it. I gotta stop that. So there's some clarification about that whole thing.
Yeah, so basically, as you wake up, you get kind of this. This is the one person you're interacting with, Dr. Polito. She's like, shit's gone bad. I need you to get to this area of the ship. Oh, and the area you're in is depressurizing. So you better fucking run.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
it's one of those things where it teaches you like how to play the game very rapidly, right?
Yep.
Like you
Trial
don't.
by fire.
Yeah, it's like the very first room you're in. There's no exit. You can't figure out where the exit is, but you pick up a pipe, your wrench, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I see a ladder behind this broken ventilation tubing, so I can break the ventilation tubing and then start climbing and
Got
moving
it.
on. So it
Okay.
kind of teaches you a lot of that stuff as you go. Um, so Dr. Polito is basically telling you to try to get to this area of the ship. Um, and you get this kind of progression of story, like we said, through these recordings that you find and stuff like that. And as you basically are kind of determining, there's basically the humans that have survived are kind of mutated. And
I was gonna ask, are they the enemies then? Because what are
yeah,
you shooting? What are you fighting
yeah,
in this
there's
game?
basically what kind of look like mutant zombies that start coming at you.
Yeah,
And then
they
Okay.
look like diseased Twi'leks. That's the best way to describe them because they've got the weird thing coming out of
yeah,
them.
they've
Really?
got a
Okay.
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah. Um,
yeah,
and then the thing is so there's this nerfed AI that's on the ship called Xerxes.
Xerxes. Yeah.
You see the face of Xerxes a little bit as you go through. Well, Xerxes kind of treats everything, or I guess no, Xerxes treats you as a threat, and so this is the aspect of a little bit like Deus Ex, where it's a little sneaky-ish. You have to figure out how to defeat not only the Twi'leks that are coming at you, but also the AI's countermeasures, including cameras and turrets and stuff like that as you go. And if you get into an area where there's a camera and Xerxes sees you, he basically says, starts calling out, and these disease things are kind of doing his bidding. He'll be like, there's a intruder in area X, and it's just kind of like a never-ending flow of these things start coming to you. Now,
Okay.
if you can avoid the area or you can destroy the camera, etc., there's a timer that counts down. Once it reaches 0, the alert gets cleared, but there's an aspect of that. There's hacking that's brought in, which is BioShock took that as well.
Right.
yeah.
Okay, so the story, you basically are trying to get to this area that Dr. Polito is telling you to get to. And so it's kind of this, as you're going, you're learning that these creatures are called the many.
Okay.
It's kind of
Like
a
a hive
hive
mind type of
mind.
thing.
And as
Got
you're
it.
going as well, they start kind of telepathically communicating with you as well, trying to convince you to join them as you're going. Yeah.
Okay.
And then another cool aspect, and I've seen this in a number of games. I can't think of any direct examples, but along with the recordings and the emails and stuff that you get, occasionally you'll kind of see these like ghost specters that show like a person was here and got attacked, or
Yeah.
a person was here and couldn't get through a door, or whatever. And it's just moments,
So
right?
is that a ghost, or is that just the character has some psychic abilities that can see these kind of things?
It's almost like a hologram.
Yeah,
Like the
but
ship's telling you what
Holograms?
happened, like
Okay.
recorded it,
yeah,
and then shit happens. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
It's very like Doom 2016 kind of does something similar where you can follow a hologram around to figure out where to go
Right.
next, and this is a very similar aspect. Obviously, this did it first, but
And that's very much one of those survival horror pieces, because some of them are kind of nebulous, but the first one you see, you're like, blah, 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 trying to kill him, and nothing's happening, right? Like,
it's just a hologram,
yeah.
And then you realize that's like their plot device and how they show you, tell the story of the atmosphere.
Right.
So you mentioned that you're a military character, just real quick. So you're not Hacker from the first game. You're a brand new character. When you said the different branches of the military, like, is it classes? Like, are they very varied in the abilities that they get? Like, is a soldier stealth, or no, they're all the same? Like,
no, basically, when you pick the branch of the military, so this is kind of the interesting piece. Every character can have all of the abilities. It's just depending on which one you pick at the beginning, you start with some bonuses in in certain ones.
You get some perks.
Yeah. So there's basically like the Marines, which obviously it's like you get bonuses to like weapons and heavy weapons, et cetera, et cetera. There's the Navy, and the Navy gets bonuses to hacking and repairs. And then there's the
UNN, I think.
Something like that.
UNN. Yeah.
But basically, you get the psychic abilities. So there is a psychic ability. This is
there is.
This is another thing that BioShock took, where BioShock has the what do they call those? The
plasmids or something?
Plasmids. It's got plasmids. Yeah. This, you have an orb that kind of juts into your arm, and you can do like, pull objects to you or go invisible or etc.
It's a psychic ball. Like, essentially, it's a big metal ball that you plug into your arm, and it allows you to shoot things or pick stuff up or do all kinds of crazy.
Okay. There's definitely similarities to the BioShock game that I played, and I can see it. It's definitely a Ken Levine game.
Oh,
it's one of those things.
Absolutely,
it screams Ken Levine.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of was really his big first, right? So, anyway, no, so basically, and then as you go, you get essentially points to start doing upgrades, and the points actually come as it's a thing that doesn't go into your inventory, but you pick up and it becomes a point in your inventory, and then you
like
can
experience points,
or
basically like talent tree points.
It's talent tree points.
Yeah, Marines get bonuses to weapons, Navy officers skills repairing and hacking, and OSA agents get starting set psionic powers. That's what
interesting. Okay, but no matter what you pick, you can still unlock anything if you wanted to.
Yeah, in fact, honestly, you're gonna probably take, even if you do Marines, you're probably going to at some point take hacking skill, because hacking skill's super bonus, right?
Very needed.
Yeah. So anyway. So as you progress, you kind of get the story. You learn that these things are called the Many. When you finally get to, huge spoiler here, when you finally get to Dr. Polito's office, and this is, even if you don't play this, listeners, viewers, Jake,
I'll add to the list.
Go at least watch this part. If you don't play it, at least go watch this part. You walk into this office, and we have to give away spoilers just so we can kind of progress the story. Dr. Polito's dead. And you're in the office and you're like, how's she been talking to me? And all of a sudden it does this really cool, like, the room kind of like stretches and morphs, and all of a sudden, fucking Shodan right there.
Yep. She's talking to you.
So is it revealed then that you're not on a ship at all, that you're on the station?
No. You're on the ship. It's just,
you're on the ship? Okay.
It turns out that that piece that was ejected from the original station ended up getting to Tau Ceti 5. And Shodan had actually basically been like, I am creating a master species that has like no qualms about anything, is super, has these psi powers, et cetera, basically invents the Many. And then the Many basically are like, why do we need her anymore?
Yep. So they revolt against her.
Against Shodan.
Essentially.
Yep. Yeah.
And she's like, fuck.
Yeah.
This is bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then you're helping her to take down the Many? Is that's the gist of it? That's a weird twist. Yep. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's not even the end. So I'm not going to ruin the whole ending.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to
let's not
ruin the
spoil
whole
the
ending.
ending any, but
But
that's an interesting
That
twist to it.
happens. That twist basically happens. I want to say roughly halfway through
it's
the
like,
game,
yeah, it's like
maybe
the half
Yeah.
point.
40% in, and it's such a good twist. Even if, like I said, I played System Shock 2 before I played System Shock 1, so I didn't really understand the Shodan thing other than her existence in the game. But
Yeah.
when she pops into the screen and starts talking to you,
Damn.
it's a trip. It's a trip. And with the new reskin, with the remaster skin, it's clean as hell. It looks
Yeah.
really good. And she
Well,
is quite frightening.
and the actor that did the voice for Shodan, she did come back to do the remake
Nice.
of number 1, and
Mhm.
there is talk of a third as well.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
And she's agreed to even come back for that as well. Employee of
You know who the actress
Looking
is?
Glass. Employee of Looking Glass.
Yep.
So
okay. So
yeah.
she was the voice. She worked for Looking Glass and did the voice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now if I looked her up in Moby Games, and she has done a number of other things, but I have a feeling that kind of came off of
Yeah,
doing
that gave her the
Shodan,
start.
right?
Yeah.
Terry Brosius.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm saying that right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and her
Cool.
husband was also part of the creation team as well. So
Interesting. I always like that stuff when games like studios, like especially back then, it was more common to get people working on the game to do voices or digitizing
Yeah.
their faces for characters in the game and posters and stuff. So I always dug that. That's neat. Who do you fight in the first game then? If the second game is focused on these zombies, the many, who's the bad guys in the first
these
game?
they're basically robotics. So she's
robots?
taken
Okay.
she's basically an AI that controls all of the station.
Right.
And
And
so
robotics make an appearance in 2 as well. So the ship
Yeah.
has like juggernaut bots and security bots and
Oh.
Right.
turrets and shit
oh
that
man.
you have to try to sneak by or take out. And because they are heavily armored in most respects, you have to have the right ammunition to take them out, or it takes
Yeah.
a buco buttload of
Okay.
bullets just to take something down. And that's where the hacking comes into play too. Like when you hack cameras, when you shut down the cameras, it'll shut down the turrets because they're not looking for you anymore. And when you're timing, when the timer's going, you have whatever amount of time to run through there before everything spots
Right.
you. And
Mhm.
either Xerxes will send the many after you, or a robot or a turret will start firing at you. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of different aspects to that whole.
And there are
Honestly, it
some
sounds a lot like Deus Ex.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like in terms of
You're right.
like the, but one thing I got asked though is in Deus Ex, you have a bit more freedom, and if you want to be the stealth going through the vents, you can. But if you want to fight, you can also fight. It sounds like this game is more stealth focused to try and avoid the cameras, or can you be a little bit more marine like?
Oh, you can
shoot your way
smash or
through?
shoot the cameras too.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything has damage. It's just how you want to use your ammunition, really. It's
Yeah. So
how much resources do you have?
most of the cameras will have a little control panel somewhere nearby them. You
Right.
can either try a code on those, which you may or may not be able to find the code. You can try to hack them, or you can see the camera. You can either shoot it or you can take your wrench to it, and etc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is a lot more sneaky than say Doom or Quake. It is a lot more
Very
sneaky
much.
than
Yeah,
that.
and that makes sense.
But it's not. Having played Mankind Divided, it's not as sneaky as Deus Ex. It's like somewhere in between.
Yeah, I didn't play Mankind Divided, but I played Human Revolution, and
Or sorry, Human Revolution. That's the one. Yeah.
that's the one. Yeah, that was the first. It's a prequel to the original Deus Ex, but that's the one where you're in a police station and
Yeah.
you trigger an alarm, so you descend into the vents.
Yeah.
When the alarm clears, you come out of the vents and slice somebody's head off, and then go back into the vents. as you try and cheese the alarm systems. It's like,
Yep.
where'd he go?
Yep.
Nobody thinks to look in the vents for the guy in the trench coat.
By the
I love
way,
that game
another thing that I made the joke about Warren Spectator because this is not a Warren Spector game, but if I remember right, Thief is Warren Spector.
I think so.
The original Thief,
believe.
and this borrows from Thief as well. Like a lot of the movement of the many are almost duplicated movements of like some of the enemies from Thief. So
Who made Thief? Was it the same studio or different studio?
It might have been the same studio. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of it because I know Ken Levine's done a fair number, not a fair number. He's done. You can usually see his influence on games.
Yeah.
It's why for a sidetrack for a second there on Fantasy Critic, one of the options I picked was Judas, which is supposed to be the next Ken Levine game. He left I guess his 2K that had the license to BioShock, whatever. And he started a new studio on his own. And I'm like, okay, he's on his own. It's Ken Levine on his own, small studio, doing his own thing. It's going to be great. It turns out it's not even close to being done. They posted up more job openings as they continue to work on Judas. So that game is definitely not coming out this year. So I had to drop it from Fantasy Critic. But he's got enough of a personality, like a cult of personality of people who love BioShock so much that I kind of want to see what he does next.
Sure.
But I do hope he does something that's, doesn't borrow too heavily from these other games, right?
That's not another System Shock, BioShock Infinite.
Right. Yeah, pretty much, right? Because I don't mind a few things, a few callbacks, because the idea of a spiritual successor, that's cool, but to a certain degree, right? Like it can't be formulaic. So I don't know. We'll have to see.
Thief: The Dark Project, 1998, first-person stealth video game, was developed by Looking Glass Studios and published by Eidos.
Same studio.
And I think it was Warren Spector that was the director on that or producer on that.
Greg Lowe Piccolo was the director. It looks
okay.
like.
Well,
Ken Levine was one of the writers.
Okay, Ken Levine's there.
Yeah, right.
There's a tie over to. Is Warren Spector Deus Ex? Is maybe that what I'm thinking of?
It might have been. I feel like there's so much.
There's a lot of these crossovers.
The studios.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking this up. How is the sound in System Shock?
It's very immersive.
Yeah, it's that's another aspect of that horror, survival horror. First off,
director of Deus Ex.
Okay, there we go. There's the crossover. Is Warren Spector as Deus Ex? Okay.
Yeah.
And then of course there's some of the Ultima franchise, some of the kind of later Ultima franchise, but no, the sound. First off, there's areas where there's music in the cutscenes, etc. But it's one of those games where it's silent as well, and then all of a sudden,
so atmosphere, sound effects, Silent Hill style. Not so much the music, but is the atmosphere.
The clamping of feet on metal ground, walking around, and no music to accompany.
Right.
And then people yelling at you to kill me or to stop or some shit. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then something will explode when you come into a room or something will, et cetera. So yeah, it's now in comparison to say modern survival horror, it's janky looking.
It's very janky.
I don't jump at most of it because it's kind of janky, but I'm also
back then.
Yeah, I was
I was on pins and needles playing that one. That game had me on the edge of my seat. So.
Yeah, I'd come off of Alone in the Dark.
Right? Yeah, we got to remember too. Ragdoll physics wasn't a real big thing there, so it's the animated death of everything. They all fall the same way, no matter where you hit them. And I've realized playing through this, I'm spoiled with Ragdoll physics.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't really have physics until Half-Life 2, right? Half-Life 2's big hook and big gimmick was the whole idea of physics in the game world, right? And then, we ended up getting into other Bethesda games, right? Where they start getting into the physics of things. So it's a bit different than taking for its time. That's fine, right?
Yeah.
I find that a lot of those games that are leaning toward horror elements are usually horror atmosphere using lighting, right? Because lighting was a big thing for that period of games, right? Where the idea of having colored lighting and diffused lighting set the stage, right? Like going back to, again, I hate bringing up Deus Ex, but that's the one I played. So there was nothing fancy in the graphics or anything, but they use a lot of everything's dark, right? And that's how they get the atmosphere in.
This one seems a lot more colorful than really dark. There's your grays and your blacks and stuff, but it doesn't. I don't recall. And the couple, the first things I played was more or less, instead of taking the lighting or having the look of the ship be kind of a terrifying thing, it was really in the sound. And it was in the enemies that you would approach, and then just having that, like you said, having that twist in the middle of the game that, oh shit, I've been working for the bad the whole time, which is like we all said, the BioShock thing that
would you kindly
brought over to the rest of the stuff.
Would you kindly?
Exactly.
Yeah.
the story is really well written and really well told
Yeah.
for a game like back then. You're not hung up on the visuals of Silent Hill or Dead Space where the lights go out and all of a sudden things are jumping in your face. It's not that kind of immersion. The story is the immersion that really takes you where
Yep.
it wants you to go.
How big is the ship? Like, is it point A to point B, or can you wander a bit? Is it a little bit open and flexible on how you
Four
get
or
to your
five.
goal, or is it
Is there 4 or 5 sectors?
I think
Isn't there
so.
something like that?
They're
okay?
pretty substantial. Like there is a map element. You hit M and you get a map because it's enough that you have to bring up the map and see where you are and where you need to go.
The
Kind of
map
thing.
looks like it's
Okay.
drawn in MS Paint, but it is there.
Yeah, yeah.
That's okay.
So, but there is
Lots of
definitely a map
circles.
element.
Okay.
You're okay. I'm on this level. Oh, it's it's a Doom 2 kind of level instead of a Doom 1
Yeah.
kind of level. It's got some girth
Right.
to it.
Okay.
So
Is there difference? Is there variety in the areas? Like, I mean, you're on a ship, but is Sector 1 different from Sector 2 graphically, or is it a lot
there
of Star
is
Trek
a
quarters?
point where you end up in some gooey meat space, and so that looks very
Yeah.
different than say the
Okay.
nice Star Trekky looking walls and
Yeah.
corridors.
Yeah.
So
I
Okay.
forgot
But-
about the membrane that shows up a little bit.
yeah,
there.
the gooey meat space.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
Okay.
I mean it's I would compare it there to like Knights of the Old Republic kind of a
Yeah, I
look.
cover that.
It's a little hall monitory. You're
Yeah.
doing your hall monitoring. But
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not as open world as
Yeah.
is what we play now.
Yeah.
It's a lot more linear, but
Yeah.
but
No, and that's fine. Like, is it a long game, or is it fairly
I
short
think
to
it's
get
like 12 to 16 hours is kind of
through? Well, that's fine.
your first
Okay.
playthrough, and I think you could really do it in that 12 or even 10 to 12 on a second playthrough. By the way,
Yeah, that's
and
my thing now is I have such limited time to play games. Like, if it's more than 15 hours, it's
Yeah.
hard.
Well,
So
and
if it's around that time, that seems perfect.
this
main
is
story is
something.
about 3.5 hours. Mains and sides are 17.
Yeah.
Completionist is 22.5.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there is an interesting, and I don't remember this when I first played it. Maybe it existed, but at least in the remaster, there is a co-op multiplayer online element.
Oh,
You
interesting.
you
Okay.
can play this with friends, co-op. So
Yeah, I think that's a new addition. I don't think
Yeah.
they had that in the original, if I remember right.
Okay.
so
Interesting. Okay. So how you mentioned like like psychic abilities.
Yeah.
How fun are those? Like, what is there for you to do with psychic powers?
so
Is it like BioShock where there's some variety in what you can do, or is it just kind of?
Oh yeah, there's like
you throw
5
psychic
levels
orbs?
of you. So there's if you view this like a D&D kind of world. Hey, we're pointing at my background. Bingo. If you
Bingo.
if you play this like if you look at this like D&D, there is I think 4 or 5 levels of spells that are your psi abilities.
Okay.
Mhm.
All the way up to like you can make yourself invisible. You can do, obviously you can pull things, you can push things, you have weapons that are psi weapons. I don't remember all of the psi abilities. I only ever really kind of toyed with it. I'm a meat and potatoes kind of person. Give me an assault
Give me a
rifle.
gun and a wrench.
Yeah.
Gun and a wrench.
Yeah.
Who needs anything
So,
else? Yeah.
but I mean, at least when I started the remaster, in the training, there was a weapon, a psi weapon, and a psi ability to pull objects to you. And there's like 4 or 5 tabs of these abilities. So,
Yeah.
there's a
Interesting.
substantial amount.
Okay. It sounds like it's like when I was younger, I've heard of this game, but I also heard about Deus Ex, and I feel like I picked one of the two, but I probably should have picked up both at some point. I probably would have liked both of them.
Well,
And it's odd I never did go back and play it. Again, I thought it was what I thought it was, turned out to be Descent. And I mean, Descent is fine, but Descent is
love
not
Descent. That's a
Deus
great game.
Ex.
well,
Yeah,
and
but it's
let's
not. It sounds like not what this is.
let's
No,
be
not even
honest.
close.
Let's be
More like
honest,
Doom.
Jake. Everybody made the decision that you made. Because
Deus
this
Ex,
game,
really? You think
yeah,
so?
well, this game actually did not sell well.
It didn't.
This
Really?
game
Okay.
sold like 60,000 units in the first, sale, whatever, and it really only gained following over time. I think it really kind of gained following as people realized, oh, this is a Ken Levine thing, and Ken Levine does these awesome things, and kind of. So I think that there was a level of people went back to this game.
Okay.
There,
Like,
you
I
may
know.
you may call this thing a hidden gem.
You might. I mean,
No,
in
we'll get
this,
complaints.
well, but in the scheme of
Not
things,
for this one.
if you looked at this in say 2010, absolutely a
Yeah.
hidden gem.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do know that BioShock was incredibly popular back then, and everybody. I know that one got reviewed pretty well, from what I recall. That's another one I never really checked out, and I should have. I really should go back and play these games. Yeah, I
Well,
don't
the
remember
list
Deus
keeps
Ex
getting
being as popular either.
deeper and higher. The list just keeps
Got
getting
it.
deeper and higher.
I mean,
The
to be fair,
backlog never
in the
ends.
hidden gem department, System Shock did receive critical acclaim. I mean, got a
Oh, it did.
92 out of 100 on Metascore.
Yeah.
Included 7 Game of the Year
Yep.
awards.
And
I
it
mean,
still
it
sold
really, and it's
pretty
still,
low.
it did not perform well commercially at all.
Yeah.
Only 59,671 copies were sold by April 2000.
Yeah.
7
okay,
Game
but
of the
that's
Year awards
also
and only 58,000 plus.
but that's also the 2000, right? Like, I mean, the market of PC gaming today is
How many
drastically
did
different than what it was in
Deus Ex
2000.
sell?
Yeah, that's what I want to see.
Let's look at their stats. I'll pull it.
'Cause,
I got it.
like,
Don't worry. I'm on it.
Okay.
You got it? Okay.
Yeah, Chard's on it.
Yeah, because like the market is totally different nowadays, right? Like, I mean, we're talking about a period where there was no controllers on PC, really. I mean, there was, but nobody played games with the controller back in 2000. You were using mouse and keyboard. That was the way to do it. The distinction between console gaming and PC gaming, so different. So I feel like there's less units sold overall, but I'm curious what Deus Ex got.
138,000 copies were sold.
130,000. Okay, so
Over
more than double.
58,000. Yeah, more than double.
Yeah. Okay. That's still not a lot. That's when you look
Sure.
at like the millions that Call of Duty sells on PC, right?
Oh, sure.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But gaming is no longer just a nerd thing anymore, right?
No, now
true.
everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
And
started
PC gaming
this.
specifically in 2000 was definitely a different beast, right? Like, I
Yeah.
think we got Deus Ex 2 on consoles. I don't think Deus Ex ever came to console. And System Shock, I'm pretty sure, didn't come to console either. So there's
No.
definitely a disconnect between the two.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I remember I was one of the, back in the day, I may have gotten video games off the back of a truck, but
Piracy.
what?
In 2000?
Yeah.
There's no Fit Girl back then.
But I definitely remember,
Yeah.
I remember spinning this game up and being
Yeah.
like, because I had kind of gotten a little bit of that FPS, like I was tired of them. I was fatigue, FPS
Yeah, you get
fatigue.
Yeah,
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute. I have the ability to affect things like my,
Yeah.
the use of my
FPS with
weapons
depth.
and
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, when I had a PC. My first PC I didn't get until, I want to say, actually 2000. So I mean, that's another reason why I probably missed out on this game. I didn't play Deus Ex until a couple years later. But I also I couldn't get into Doom or Quake or Wolfenstein. It just wasn't my genre. I eventually got into Quake 3 Arena quite a bit, but that was also for a very specific thing. It was Insta-Gib, and there's a
Yeah.
mod with grappling
yeah.
hooks I really dug. But it's a very specific thing. Otherwise, boomer shooters I was never into. But I liked playing games like Morrowind. I liked playing Deus Ex because it was first person, but there's more to the world, right? I wasn't just running down a hallway shooting monsters. I was actually doing things, interacting with the environment.
Yeah.
And that I really dug. So
well,
the reason why I should have played this.
and honestly, if you treat this game as a boomer shooter, you're gonna have a bad time. Honestly,
Really bad
because
time, yeah.
because you are going to be struggling for ammo all day long, all
Right.
fucking day long.
I mean, ammo is super duper scarce. Like, it's, we talk about it playing games, and I'm going to say Dead Space again, just because it's a very common survival horror or Resident Evil or something. But it always felt like, even when you were up against it, you're like, oh, good, there's some bullets. Like, oh, thank God. This game doesn't do that. This
Right.
game's like, oh, you're out of bullets? seeing like
Yeah.
6 different sectors, you might find another one.
Yeah, get
Like
good.
it was really much like feast or
Yeah,
famine
get
on a
good with
lot
your
of
wrench. And
yeah.
and that turret
Right.
that's all the way across this hallway, you better run with your wrench real
You better
hard.
figure out how to duck. Yeah, you
Yeah,
better figure out a block
Okay.
to hide behind because it's gonna blast the shit out of you.
yeah.
Or you better learn how to hack like quick.
Right.
So yeah.
Do you mentioned that there's rumors of potentially a sequel. Does the second game end on a cliffhanger? I don't want to spoil the ending, but is it a cliffhanger ending or does it end like it was
It's
satisfactory? Or does it feel like there could have been a third one back then?
so you're asking a question that
Yeah,
it's been
I
so
can't remember.
long that
Yeah, that's a great question, and I don't know.
yeah, let's see. Hang on. Let's see. The final scene.
So while you're looking that up, because that's my thing with PC games too, is
Oh,
like
yes, it ends on a
a great
cliffhanger
game
for
is a
sure.
great game, but does it have an ending that was decent? I find like a
Yeah.
lot of games I didn't necessarily care for the endings for.
Okay,
So I'm
it
kind of curious
has
about this one.
it has a cliffhanger for sure. I just looked at it.
Does it really? Okay.
Well, okay, it has a satisfying ending with kind of a setup for a potential sequel.
Okay, that's fair. Like a Jurassic Park thing. There's always another island. There's always
Yeah.
another. There's always
Well,
another
this-
genetically modified
this-
dinosaur.
This definitely leaves you with something that's like, did I just hear what I heard? Kind of thing.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So would you want a sequel in 20? I mean, it won't be next year, but if it was the next 5 years, so we're talking by 2030, there'd be a third System Shock. We're talking 30 years after the first game. Ken Levine was probably not going to be involved with
Right.
it. Would you still want a sequel to this game?
I could take it or leave it.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
kind of the same.
And
I'd love to
here's
see a remake of this. Like
Yeah.
if they took System Shock 2 and
Right.
made it fresh like they redid with 1 and
Yeah.
on all the games that they're remaking these days. Like if Blooper decided, hey, let's make this, let's do a
Yeah.
remake of this, I'd be all in on that because I think they
Right.
could do some good work with it
well,
and
and
really take what was really cool back then and really bring it to a more futuristic look
yeah,
to what it is now.
and I mean since Night Dive owns the IP, and Night Dive did such a banger on the remake of the first one, just like Blooper,
Right.
I feel like they could do a remake of number 2 and do it justice, like Blooper did
Right.
with
Yeah.
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like if I'm playing through Baldur's Gate 3 right now, and
Mhm.
I'm digging it quite a bit. But when I first heard that they were going to make a Baldur's Gate 3 decades after the second game,
Right.
totally different company, Larian Studios, and nothing against Larian, I like the Divinity games
You
they were
didn't
doing,
know,
but
right?
I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, you just don't know. You're thinking, okay, they're going to take an existing IP from 20 years ago and make a new game. That's not going to fly. It turns out,
Well, yeah.
one of
Yeah.
the best games of the decade, right?
Yeah.
Easily.
We could argue Bloopers the same way. If everybody
Yeah.
looks at
Yeah.
Bloopers' earlier work, a lot of people didn't care for it. And then so we're all on pins and needles on taking one of the greatest horror survivor games of the PlayStation era,
Yeah.
PlayStation 2 era, and
Yeah.
they're gonna remake it. I don't know how I feel about that. And it turned out to be game of the year for me. It was fantastic. And now we're getting the first one by the same company.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I'm pumped. So have these guys that did the first one redo this one in the same
Yeah.
exact way. I think that would really go miles.
Yeah, Night Dive.
It's enough where I kind of want to see what Blooper. I want to see Blooper make their own original game in the Silent
Chronos,
Hill
yeah.
universe at this point, right? Well, hopefully.
Oh
Chronos,
yeah, okay, yeah, I'd be all right with that.
But, like,
But Chronos is coming
right?
out.
That's why when I saw Silent Hill F, I'm like, oh, interesting. Blooper. Oh no, that's Konami doing one. I'm like,
That's
okay.
Konami.
Well, I
It's
mean,
still-
they know
we're
they
still
made the
relevant,
original,
just
but
wait. We're relevant.
Blooper
This
set
is
a high
our
bar.
game. Don't forget, we're relevant.
Hey guys.
Yeah, we're still here.
well, it's
we're not
it's like
making machines anymore. We're making games again.
it's like Metal Gear, right? Like Metal Gear
Yeah.
Solid is Kojima's baby, and like everybody, and he's such a way of with games. And Konami's talking about making another Metal Gear game in the future. It's like,
I was gonna say
but you don't have Kojima.
I was gonna say he's
But, you
off.
know-
He's off spreading beach things everywhere, right?
Yeah, he's definitely dealing with some BTs.
Yeah, that's another game where I see people play it. I'm like, I should play that, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
no,
not
because
gonna
it's
lie.
fucking weird.
I've been watching Death Stranding True, and I was like, this looks action packed as hell. I
Yeah.
don't remember the
Yeah.
first one being this crazy.
I just remember what's his name, the main character. Like, I remember like him packed up with a bunch of like boxes and stuff. And he's
Yeah.
like tipping
Amazon
sideways and tipping sideways.
Amazon Prime Simulator.
Yeah. As Wolf
Yeah.
put it, let's see, what is it? What to expect when you're FedExing?
Yes. Yes. Norman
No,
Reedus.
I know.
It's Amazon
it's-
Prime.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime. Just that you're riding on a flying coffin board. That's what they call it. I'm like, that game's just batshit weird. So,
Yeah.
there's some people, and like Kojima and like Ken Levine has a certain mystique about him in terms
Yeah.
of what games he makes. That's why I was really like looking forward to Judas. Judas looked interesting. I'm like, okay, give him a game, right? Like it's something like people keep wanting a new Fallout New Vegas, right?
Yeah.
But there's been some weird issues with the Obsidian did it, not Bethesda, right? But now technically you have Obsidian and Bethesda both owned by Microsoft, so maybe. But what Obsidian did was it? I always confuse the two. It's not Outer Wilds, it's Outer Worlds. I think.
Obsidian did Outer Worlds, I think.
Worlds, right?
Yes.
Which is very much like a spiritual successor. That word again, the term again, to Fallout, but it's definitely their own thing. So, here's hoping that Judas is going to be something like BioShock, or System Shock, but moved on.
Yeah, there's some names in the industry that like do some pretty good bangers, and you kind of feel like you can trust most of what they put out. Another one of these is like Tim Schafer. If Tim Schafer puts out a game, it's probably going to be good,
Right.
Or at least worth a look, like to be interested in it, to see what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
So, so Ken Levine's one of those. I think Warren Spector's about 50-50.
Well, what is he?
The Ultima Underworld games.
He's not the musician guy. He's not the Wall of Sound guy. Is he?
No, he's
he's
your Deus Ex guy. He's the guy that produced Deus Ex. But he also jumped on, and correctly enough, he did like Ultima Underworld 1, but then he also did he did System Shock.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was actually a lot of discussion about taking Ultima Underworld and making System Shock 2 into a dungeon crawler-esque look like that one, which is where it gets kind of its first-person look, and then they turn it into more of the FPS feel instead of the dungeon crawler look.
Yeah.
So you'll see you can look back and see a lot of the discussion, like if you look at the Wikipedia page, and it tells you like what they were going to do with it, in which direction, and then you play the game, you're like, oh yeah, I could totally see that. That makes perfect sense. I mean, you got the item management, dungeon crawler aspect, RPG aspect. You got the first person shooter going through tunnels and halls.
Have you tried tunnels?
But instead, have you tried tunnels? But
Inside,
instead
outside.
of picking it away or whatever, they made it more freeform, so it turns into a first person shooter. It's kind of cool.
No, I'm taking it back. Warren Spector has a hell of a list, so I'm taking it back. Wing Commander.
I haven't heard his name in a long time. I'm trying to think of. I think the last time I might have heard of him was Epic Mickey. Was that Warren?
Yeah,
Spector?
Epic Mickey.
I gotta go look
but
up.
Epic Mickey. But Wing Commander, Ultima 6, The False Prophet, Ultima Underworld, System Shock, Crusader No Remorse, Deus Ex Invisible War, Thief Deadly Shadows. I mean, yeah. And
Dude's got a resume.
And System Shock 3. He is signed on for System Shock 3.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yep. According to Wikipedia.
Yeah, neat stuff. All right. Well, I mean, it sounds like I need to play System Shock 2. I should probably play the first one. I'm going to add to the list of Half-Life 2 and BioShock 1.
To be fair, System Shock 1 and System Shock 2, though they're in the same universe and they have the same kind of story feel, they are different games. They really have a different feel to them.
But don't I need to play the first one, you think, to appreciate the second one, or no? I know you didn't chart as a kid, but like...
No, honestly, as long as you understand that like Shodan was the big antagonist in the first one, and basically has this penchant for being like, humans are unnecessary and I'm a god. I mean, that kind of sets you up for what you need.
Okay.
Really does.
I do find it funny that we're talking about a game where it's a rampant AI, and then of course 2025 is a year of like AI tools infecting everything right now.
We have,
It's funny because the
what
other
is
game
it?
was Deus Ex, which is about plagues
Yeah, but
and fascism. So another very prescient game for 2025.
Jake,
This thing.
I asked my large language model if it was going to try to take over the world, and it said no.
Yeah.
It's fine. It said
Yeah.
no.
It's got those human protections on, right?
Yeah.
And don't worry,
So-
we have until at least 2114 before this becomes a problem for all of us. So we're good. We got a couple years,
It's okay.
guys. We're good.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've read Dune. I know how AI goes. I know we got a jihad coming up soon.
Well, that's
It's okay.
why they have mentats now.
Gosh,
Yeah.
it's the ultimate evolution of my kid's ADHD. We're all mentats, so it's gonna be. Okay, this sounds like. I mean, I knew this game was great.
Yeah.
I'm really thankful that Night Dive has been pretty great at kind of taking that period of PC gaming and just they're obviously fans of those games. They appreciate the IP and what they're doing. They kind of treat it with respect that you don't see other companies necessarily do all the time.
Right.
It's not a cash grab, is what I'm getting at, right? They really care
Right.
about these
No.
IPs. The fact
It's
that they bought
almost
it outright
like-
is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It's like preservation, right? It's not, we're
Right.
not doing this so that we can get some more money. It's, we're preserving it, and maybe you might be putting a new coat of paint on it or remastering the whole thing from the ground up, but you're bringing back something that
Right.
people loved. It's not, you're not trying to do it for money. It's not like you're making Epic Mickey 3. You're making, I'm just, what I mean? Like, which was a good
Yeah.
game, but you're taking to a new audience that will appreciate it. Like, so me and Sinistar can be like, Jake, we really think you'd like this. And you're like, oh, I never tried that. And then you end up loving it and getting it. So,
Yeah,
or
call
whatever.
game of the year.
Yeah, honestly, I will take, as far as game preservations go, I will take like what GOG is doing, where they are actually signing on to maintain properties and keep them active. But I will also take people like Night Dive picking up IPs, making enhanced editions, or even remakes that are
Yeah.
that are not Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, these are more faithful to the original material that they're working with.
Exactly. And you've got
Yeah.
companies, and I'm going to say Blooper again, or Motive, who did Dead Space, that are taking original stuff and they're putting their spin on it and making it into something amazing. So it's not like Square Enix taking their game back and just making it bigger to make it more money off of it. Somebody is putting their talents into it, which makes you then appreciate. I'm going to go look at Chronos, another Blooper game. Resident Evil or a Silent Hill 1 remakes coming out by them now. Now it's one of my favorite companies to follow right now because of the success that they're having and what they've done to one of my favorite games. Now I'm just going to play everything that they come out with because it was so good. So, they have
It will be interesting to see what Night Dive does going forward. If they do a System Shock 3 and it's done by them, or if they do something completely original, they're definitely on my radar to see what they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
All right, guys. I think that's pretty great. Anything you guys want to shout out? Sinistar, are you DJing still? Anything coming up?
I'm on mostly a hiatus just because of some physical issues I've been having. But hopefully I can get back to that soon. I did do a charity that was pretty awesome for Lambda Legal. If you're looking for a charity, Lambda Legal, they do good work. But otherwise, no, I'm just kind of trying to take it easy and take care of those physical issues.
Okay.
Got some pain, folks.
Yeah.
No worries. That's our age bracket.
I know.
I know, right?
I know.
That's pretty much our
Getting in
brand
front
of
of streaming,
podcast.
yard work and fucking bad knees,
Barbecuing.
Yeah,
And back pain
smoking
or
this
feet
weekend.
pain.
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Chard, how about you? I think you're back to streaming again.
Yeah,
Kind
I
of?
hit the I hit the old stream circuit last Friday or last Saturday and had a blast playing the original Silent Hill because of the announcement for the new remake. I felt we should take everybody on the adventure because we had so much fun with Silent Hill 2 remake. And I'll probably do a little bit more of that this weekend. But I'm much like Sinistar, where I wouldn't say I'm on a hiatus, but I don't have a definitive time nailed down. So just follow me on Twitch and wait for my I'm going live announcement and come and hang out. We're doing achievements, but I'm not hitting it hard. It's just fun to see if we can get them all and really enjoying ourselves. We had a really good time last Saturday, so I'm excited to get back at it.
How about you, Jake?
For me, so I recently, because I have a sickness with controllers, so I recently, well, not recently, I bought it back in November. It's called the Swirl from Junk Food Arcades, and I have a few things from them over the last few years. Yeah, it's literally the swirl, and it's a leverless arcade controller, but also has analog nubs. So I'm actually
It
going to
looks
review
cool.
on it. I recorded.
It's a
It does look really
beautiful
cool.
controller. Yeah.
Yeah, like it. I look at like when I started playing around with fight sticks, 5 years ago or whatever, and I tried the leverless for the first time. A lot of them were off of Etsy, circuit boards sandwiched together with little
Yeah.
stands like standoffs. It was definitely a low tech solution for this kind of stuff. And then I look at Junk Food Arcades, and those guys started with like a CNC machine in a dream, and now they're like shipping out orders from Chinese factories of molded plastic, and just a lot of engineering goes into these controllers. So this launch has been interesting. I bought the Swirl Basic, and there's been some hiccups with it, but they've been rapidly releasing firmware to fix things. And the firmware that came out yesterday, I installed it, and the thing works great now. So I'm going to do a short review video. I'll put up on PressB. I do
Nice.
dig it. If you're like me and you got issues with your hands, pain, again, hand pain, we're all about pain here at PressB. Pain and smoking. Smoking on the barbecue anyway.
Wait.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because
Different
you can play on your desk with your hands instead of holding a gamepad, because I've struggled with gamepads at times. So I'll announce on Discord when I have that. If you want to see a picture of it, go to my check me out on Blue Sky, Sick Jake, or just search PressB on Blue Sky. You'll find a few of us there.
Sick Jake.
In terms of PressB, we are part of the SuperPod Network. You can find us and a few other shows over at superpodnetwork.com. A lot of great gaming podcasts just like us. Some of them more retro than us, if you can believe it.
Hey, we're talking about a 25-year-old game.
We had a retro game today.
That's true. We're also talking about like the game that came out last week, the remake of it, or the remaster. So it's, I'll take it. It's half and half.
1999.
It's no music episode. There's no Nine Inch Nails references, but it's okay.
There was. You dropped one, and I'm proud of you for naming
That's
it.
true. Sometimes I know things.
You
can find us. You can find us on YouTube. We stream mostly on Fridays on YouTube and Twitch at Press B to Cancel. You can also find audio episodes the following Monday on anywhere you listen to your podcast, from Spotify to Amazon Music to whatever the hell you run in your grandma's car to listen to podcasts. Or, of course, you can find us at pressbtocancel.com or pressb.org. You can always look for us for a link to our Discord. Join us on Discord. Tell us how much you love System Shock 2, or like me, you've heard of it and thought it's Descent and never played it for 20 years. Let me know. I can't be the only one who's not played this game.
I love that.
You haven't listened to Beastie Boys?
I love that.
And I like Descent. It's fine.
Descent's great, but that's a boomer.
Didn't want to get into it.
It's a 360.
Otherwise, this has been Press B to Cancel. See everybody next week.
Bye.
Show Dan the money.